Hello Daily Drafters and welcome back to the channel for today's Daily Draft. As you can see on the screen, today will be a little bit different than normal. So I pre-recorded a lot of our previous drafts, and on Monday, I ended up in Platinum 1. We're having a pretty good streak here with the format. After I pre-recorded a lot of those drafts, I went ahead and hopped in the quick draft queue for myself because I wasn't recording for a while. I had some other things going on in my life. And I hopped in the quick draft queue and I quickly went 7-0 with a deck. And I found myself in Diamond 4. I did one more draft and I went 5-3 and I found myself in Diamond 3. And I just found myself climbing up the ranks in quick draft and none of it was on camera and I felt bad for you all. So as you can see my rank here on the left, I believe I start this video here in Diamond 2. But what I did here is that I'm making a push to Mythic, guys. I mean, I don't see why I can't. Quick Draft is still ranked. Premier Draft is also ranked. So we're going to go ahead and make a two-part series here. Part 1 is going to be here on Wednesday. Part 2 will be on Friday for those of you interested in sticking around till the end of it. And we're going to try to make our way to Mythic here. So this is going to require a little bit of explanation before we get into this draft. So stick with me. All right, this is going to be really interesting for you all. Now, when I did my couple of quick drafts, I noticed something really interesting from the bots. Again, we're drafting with bots here, not real people. These bots have tendencies. One thing I noticed is that they were passing white aggressive cards very late. Angelic Intervention, Aerial Boost, Realm Breaker's Grasp, and especially Surge of Salvation. I was getting these cards 13th, 14th, even dead last pick, which really shouldn't be happening. So it made me think, like, how forcible is white aggro in quick draft? And how quickly could that vault me up into Mythic? Well, I don't know. What I did is I had all of my audio system packed up, ready to go for something else I had going on in my life. So I couldn't record audio for you for these videos. But what I did do is I recorded all of these videos, and I'm going back now after the fact, and I'm putting my face in the bottom right here for you all. Hello. And talking you through everything that happens here in these drafts. And we're going to try to make a push to Mythic. The quick draft March of the Machine ends, I think I started these recordings at about 9 or 10 p.m. the night before quick draft March of the Machine ends. And I needed a few drafts to go really, really well to get up to Mythic. I don't know if we're going to make it there in the end. Well, I do know if we made it or not. You'll see it on Friday whether or not we were able to finally get there. But before we get into this draft, I want you to know I am hard forcing white aggro. Okay? You're going to get mad at me for some of these picks. You're going to at me in the comments. I'm going to let you know right now, and I'll talk you through it when we get into the draft. I am hard forcing white aggro. I'll say it one more time. I'm hard forcing white aggro. Okay? So with that said, we're going to go ahead and get into the draft. And as we do, I'll talk you through all sorts of things that are going on, what was going through my head. I'll see you there. Okay, here we are in Pack 1, Pick 1, and we've got some interesting picks. I mean, even if I wasn't doing what I'm doing and what I told you I was doing, I think Nord's Inquisitor is still the pick here, no matter what. So I go ahead and take it. You're going to notice that these drafts are also much quicker. They are much quicker than I usually do because I was under a time crunch. I had to get several drafts go really well for me. So I had to I had to do these really quickly. So I'm noting between Mirror Shield Hoplite and Realm Breaker's Grasp here. My thought was that I could wheel the Grasp, but I go ahead and just take it. You know, I'm forcing white aggro. So this is the first pick where you're probably going to hate me. I snatch an Enduring Bond Warden here, I think, over Tiller of Flesh. Now, you obviously, if I were drafting in the Premier Draft queue or for a regular draft, I think I would have taken Invasion of Zendikar there. But look, fourth pick Invasion or Marshal of Zhalfir. And we're basically set up for Blue-White Knights, like, pretty quickly on in this draft. Now we've got Seal from Existence, which you see I immediately snatch, but then I go ahead and grab the 2-drop, because I think it's super important you get the cheap creatures for this deck too. A little bit of a scare here, the cards are kind of drying up, but we go ahead and just snatch up a Quende, because it's basically the only card for us. And now I get a little bit scared. I think these packs are not great, so I grab a Storm the Seed Core. One of the things I also want to mention is that I force white aggro in these drafts a lot, but I decide to pair it with either blue, green, black, or red, literally any of the other colors based on what's open. White is the thing that the bots don't value at all, and I have to figure out what colors to pair it with. Now you'll notice that in pack 1 we had a couple of good white cards that didn't wheel. I started to get a little bit scared when I was doing this draft, like, oh gosh, is this the one time the bots are going to actually value white? So, as you can see, as this is flying by here, I'm kind of hedging my bets toward white-green because white-blue seemed pretty darn cut. Now, you are going to hate me for this. Atali. I don't pick Atali, okay? I'm pointing out the two cards that I think I'm choosing between here, Surge of Salvation and Ivara's Dispersal, fully expecting to wheel Surge of Salvation. Again, I'm going white aggro. Atali is such a great card, but in a white aggressive deck, it really is not that great. It's a 7-drop, so I pass it. And you're all going to at me in the comments. But we'll see how it turns out in the end. Go ahead and grab another 2-drop and Order the Mirror here. Here's another Surge of Salvation, interestingly. The only reason I take this one is because there's not really much else left in the pack for us, and we get to pick 4 Marshal of Zhalfir again. And I think we're basically just set for Blue-White Knights at this point. I mean, I'm moving some of the green to the sideboard already. And as soon as I do that, I see a Botanical Brawler. There's an Invasion of Amonkhet as well. But look, I know I'm playing white. I'm just taking the cheap white card. Sometimes you got to play the game, you know. If you're playing Quick Draft, you got to know what the bots are going to do. And because Quick Draft is ranked, if you have a goal of trying to make Mythic, you can read these bots to a T sometimes and really take advantage of them to get all the way into Mythic. So, again, just taking some white aggressive cards here. Got some combat tricks. Flying through this draft. I mean, Surge of Salvation. Look, I'm pointing out pick 9 wheels, which is kind of crazy. Angelic Intervention. I'm going a little bit nuts here. It's wheeling. I mean, you see what I'm talking about now, right? We have 2 Surges. We have 2 interventions already. We have a Grasp. We have 2 Zhalfirs. I mean, the deck is looking totally fine, with or without Atali, might I add. So let's see what we can find in pack 3. And unfortunately, we get a little bit unlucky here. I think I just go ahead and take the Sanctifier as a 2-drop. Yeah, I mean, it's about the only thing we could really consider playing from that pack. So I go ahead and snag Bola Slinger, looking at my curve here, because I fully expect that intervention to wheel, and I don't even know if I want 3. Zhalfir and Lancer is a gift, but I'm also debating between Protocol Knight, as you can see here. Checking out my curve, checking out how many knights I have. Both of them care about that. But I do think I end up taking the Lancer for curve considerations here. And then we see a Grasp, we see an Invasion of Xerax. And getting our first battle is going to be great here. So I go ahead and snatch up Invasion of Xerax, potentially expecting to wheel that Realmbreaker's Grasp. Another Knight in Sigiled Sentinel goes really well into our Blue-White Knights deck. And then we kind of strike out. I guess I just throw a Conversion or a Scroll Shift into the sideboard. Doesn't really matter. We're not playing either of those cards. Core Halberd is another one of the cards I basically have one of in every single one of these decks that we're forcing here, because that's another card that goes pretty late and ends up being pretty good in these decks here. So we're at 23 playables. A little worried we get to see. Also, why is Invasion of Amonkhet going pick 11? I'm not playing it though. Put the Lookout in the side, and it looks like the other Angelic Intervention did not wheel. So we didn't end up with a great version of this deck here. But you'll see the deck build really doesn't take that long at all. I cut a land because I'm going 16 lands and all of these aggressive white decks. And I decide what my, 24th card is going to be. I think everything else in here right now is going to make the cut. Probably just a Thunderhead Squadron. I think that's probably the last card we'll throw in here. And that'll be it for the draft and the deck build. I'm going to get straight into these games here. I mean, yeah. See if we end it here. Trying to think back to how exactly I built this. I'm thinking it for myself. And yeah, that'll do it. I'll see you in game number 1. All right, we go first. And we have not a great hand. 3-4. This is a suspect keep, but I do go ahead and keep it. Don't like to see a 1-drop on their side, but yeah. So this is far from my usual content that I make. It's a lot less hectic than this. But again, I was on a huge time crunch at the time, and I didn't want to miss potentially getting into Mythic for the first time since I've created this channel. So in this last little push this month in my attempt to get there, I wanted to record it for you all, and this is the best way I can think to present it. So that's what I'm doing here. If you appreciate this content and you appreciate both me recording it as quick as I did and also going over the top and putting extra voiceovers over this entire thing, both this video and on Friday's video, go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you appreciate that. And if you want to go ahead and look in the description as well for the Patreon page, we do have a Patreon here for Daily Draft. Would be greatly appreciated. If you consider donating to the Patreon, you get access to the Daily Draft Discord, as well as early access to content like this. And yeah, so diving back into this game, I go ahead and play Quende here. Just be a little bit more mana efficient. There's not really anything I wanted to bounce with Invasion of Xerax, and my thought was that I could actually bounce something and then immediately flip it at some point. So I think that's why I played Quende when I did. So don't like to see the Ozolith over there. It's going to make it difficult to get through. And they can also just pump this Bond Warden to the point where it's going to be difficult for us to get through. But I do think I go ahead and just bounce this Warden here. Gives us good attacks. Or maybe well, we'll see what I do. I could go ahead and play Marshal of Zhalfir as a line. I'll critique my past self. How about that? Play Zhalfir, buff it, play Sunder, destroy their Ozolith. Could be a line. And that does look to be the line that I took. So I just go ahead and pump my team, and I go ahead and destroy their Ozolith here, while also incubating. Pretty good turn for us. And I hold the team back, because I'm going to go ahead and bounce something next turn anyway. And what do we see from them? Golden Scale Aeronaut. Not the end of the world. They're buffing up their Daxos here. And they do get in, which is going to leave the door wide open for us to flip an Invasion of Xerax here. So I have the option to bounce one of these untapped creatures, but I don't think they're going to block. So you see me hovering to the Bond Warden. I'm just going to go ahead and reset the counters on this thing. And if I attack with Billy Rider and Quende at the invasion, it's going to flip no matter what. Unless they double chump, which I don't see them doing. So you see me debating if I want to tap something down with the Marshal here. Doesn't look like I do. Again, we're basically guaranteed to flip this here. And I know I mentioned that especially in the draft, I moved a lot quicker. But in these games, you'll notice I'm also going a lot quicker and going a lot more off of instinct than I usually do, because I knew I'd be able to kind of commentate on these games after the fact. So we've got the time here. I mean, it's just you and me hanging out at this point. I'm just critiquing past self, right? So I move a little bit quicker, maybe not necessarily in this game. This game is pretty close so far, but at some points I definitely scroll through quickly, but that's what I'm here for, post me. All of the backup from our opponent here. Got all kinds of +1/+1 counters going on. Alright, they have a 5/3. And I say, now you don't. Okay. Give something Vigilance and a 1/1 counter here with Sigiled Sentinel. Deciding where to put this counter. I think Quende makes the most sense, which is what I did end up going with. They don't really have a way to kill Quende if I attack here. Makes sense. Preserve 8 points of life, take 6, and then we just go ahead and drop a Billy Rider. And now our board is looking pretty buff. I mean, we've got 3 double strikers, a 7/7 flyer, a tapper. Looks like they can hit us with the aeronaut here, but I mean, they get a draw card basically. Yeah, draw land, sure, whatever. Okay, here come the lands. You know how I like to do. I'll go ahead and animate this. Keep my Vertex Paladin to be bigger. And now I'm debating attacks here. I still think Quende is a free attack. Looking back on it. Well, not necessarily a free. I can trade it for the Warrior and the Thespian. I'd just be a little bit, you know, careful and just attack with the Paladin, hold everything back. They're not really getting through anymore. We're kind of on Vertex Paladin or bust this game, but so far it's working out. Okay, pay 2 life, don't care, tap down your flyer. And you still don't have attacks. Or do you? Apparently you do. This can't be correct, because I can eat just about everything here. So you'll see me debate blocks here for a while, and like trades and all this kind of stuff. But I start doing some math, as you'll see, as Magic loves to make us do. And the first 2 blocks that I made were free, because I eat those creatures no matter what. The Sigiled Sentinel block... Alright, so I stop, and I think this is the point where I'm starting to count up if I have lethal on the backswing. And so I make these 2 blocks, these make the most sense, and then if I just take everything else, that's only 9. And again, 1 is not 0, so... Doing the math, just making sure I don't want to mess this up. Because they got a little overzealous there. They really didn't need to do that. And you see me hovering down there, and I do go ahead and just take the rest of this, go to 1. They go to 13, but we have plenty of damage on the backswing here. No thanks to our draws. Let's go ahead and tap this, get him with everything, and that should do it here. Okay, they go up to 10 and then take a lot more than 10. So we managed to get there in game 1. Let's see if we can keep up the streak here. Alright, here we are in game 2 with an easy 1-2-3 curve. So this is nice. You love to see this. We'll go ahead and keep this here. Bond Warden into Bond Warden. Was hoping to get a little bit of chip damage there, but they won't let us do that. So what I'm actually going to do here is hold full control, try to bluff a combat trick, retain priority, and then see if they call it or not. Trying to get in a free point of damage. They do call our bluff, so good for them. Then we'll just drop our 2-drop. Norn's Inquisitor from the opponent. We're on our first combat trick of the day. Hello there. So we get in there just in case they try to make some silly double blocks or something. If they do double block the Bond Warden, I'm happy to intervention both of these down. But it looks like they just bounce again. We'll just drop a Billy Rider, and not much has changed since our first hand. They found the swamp. Okay. So we could convoke their thing. Their incubator token, but I'd like them to use the mana. So what I'm going to do here is probably attack with these two, and then the intervention can just trade for their incubator token here. Or if they decide to block with a 1/1. Not sure what's going on here. Scroll shift. Okay, so they're going to get another incubator token. Not much I can do about that. Go ahead and hit them for 2 with the Billy Rider. And I decide that temporal cleansing on those incubators are not worth it right now, so I just leave the board as is with protection up. And they just pass it right back to us. So here come the lands, and at this point we don't have great plays anymore, unfortunately. We could cleansing one of the 2/2s, but like that's not great. We could attack with Billy Rider, but that's not great. See what their plan is here. Scroll shift Inquisitor again. Strangely, before attacks this time, which... Or was that after? That might have been on our end step. I can't remember where that was. Alright, so now it's their turn, and they're going to start animating these things. I see no reason to block here. And I nice the fact that we just keep drawing nothing but lands. Because since the start of this game, we have drawn a cleansing and an intervention, and to this point we hadn't used either of them. So we had not progressed the board whatsoever. So I go ahead and get rid of their overturned 3/3. And at this point, I think this intervention can do some good work depending on how they block. So I just ship with everything here. And they make my decision easy, so I go ahead and do the Billy Rider, give it a counter, and give it protection from colorless. Something I kind of learned in the process of preparing for this video that you can do. For some reason I didn't realize you can even do colorless. Seal from Existence, getting rid of our biggest threat on the board, and they are at 14. I'm pointing out that we have drawn only those 2 cards this game. And here come more lands. I nice it one more time, and we're effectively done here. Because, I mean, yeah, you can see why. They play a lifelinker. They give a thing lifelink. We have no threats. They go back up to 18. I go ahead and play Thunderhead Squadron because I guess it's something I can cast. They promptly look at their hand and decide that they're going to go ahead. I even pointed out here, you're going to be Final Flourish, sacrificing Bond Warden, putting it on the lifelinker, and I'm pretty sure I pack it in at this point. Well, I haven't quite conceded yet, but we are not far from that moment. Ah, there comes the good game, Exarch, and we're done here. So, I mean, no one's winning that game. It's a keep, but you're not winning. All right, we're on the draw here. We've got a keep because we have an aerialist on 2. But again, it's another suspect one. Still need to find some white, but we'll go ahead and play our aerialist. They are either stuck on green or playing mono green. So we do find our white, which is good news for us. So we just go ahead and be mana efficient, play the Billy Rider, and attack with the aerialist here. And now we are kind of off to the races with our mana situation. So let's see what they can follow up with. Fertilid's Favor on the Kami, which is yikes, because now they can tap that thing for 4 mana. So that is kind of ugly. And I have some options here. I can Cleansing it, or I can just Invasion of Xerax it. And the reason I go for this is because now I have free attacks on this Invasion of Xerax, unless they want to chump. So we get a free 3/3 out of this deal, which is great for us. So they had a pretty good turn, but we've managed to kind of stabilize from it. So Overgrown Pest, that should be fine. Placid Rottentail. And a Cosmic Hunger. Darn, couldn't do much about that. Alright, well now here come all the lands. I think we've drawn 1 non-land. That's fine. So just go ahead and drop Quende here, get in with the aerialist. I could Cleansing something, but there's no real reason to. We're trying to race with our aggressive deck here, so just be mana efficient as much as I can. Don't feel like grasping the Spell Spear right just yet. Feel like there's going to be bigger threats I would like to remove. There is a Thrill Seeker, which is unfortunate because they do leave mana up so that they can sacrifice it to kill our aerialist here. So that's not good for us. We take 4. But as you'll see, we top deck Afara's Dispersal, which is interesting here because they're going to be incentivized to wait till our aerialist is attacking to sacrifice their Thrill Seeker. So I go ahead and just do this now that it's a 4/4. Don't feel like dealing with that anymore. And now we do attack all. And Afara's Dispersal is a great card against your opponent, but sometimes it can be used on your own creature, as you'll see here. I'm checking that just an attacking creature. It doesn't say an opponent's attacking creature. So they sacrifice that. We spend 1 mana, bounce it right back to our hand, and surveil 2. So we're looking at the board here. They're at 16, and my first thought is these aren't very good. Like, they don't really do what I want them to do. They're fine on this board, but all they have to do is drop like a Timberland Ancient for them to be 100% irrelevant here. So I go ahead and bin both of them for that reason. Just go ahead and replay the area list here, and now we know one of the cards in their hand. Let's see what else they can find. Okay, there's a Kami. That's fine. Don't care about that. They're thinking about putting the counters on it. Here come the lands. Now I have to decide if I want to activate the area list into open mana or not. And because I effectively have nothing else to do here, I think I'm thinking about going for it. And I do. So we'll see if we can get a little bit lucky here. And we are able to get lucky. Clearing off a land from the top of the deck, because what's new? Thinking about what they could have. Either they're just putting stops and playing with full control, or they have something. But my thought was they don't have anything, because if they did, they would have killed the area list. But unfortunately they did have something, which I don't know why they didn't kill the area list with that. But is what it is. It's where we're at. So they do put the counters on it now, but can't imagine they have a ton of extra mana to be working with. Okay, so now they deal 4 to us, and then attack for 4 more. And all of a sudden, we're down to 3. Which is not great. So let's go ahead and get rid of that thing now while we can. And we do have protection, but we have a long way to go in this game if we're going to think about winning. I'm betting against haste for them because we got to take some risks here. Alright, that is a lethal threat, so we can no longer attack. Spending a long time trying to figure out where to put that. It's really only one spot you should. We find a Bola Slinger here, and trying to figure out where to put the counter. I put it over here because now we can just block this Heel Slasher, and we can use Intervention if they don't draw anything to kill it, which would be pretty good. And that's great. See, Core Halberd coming in clutch here, because now we can actually put it on the Bola Slinger, attack with both. Put it on the Invader, which gives it Vigilance. We can attack with both of these, tap down their Heel Slasher, and now they're dead next turn. They're at 6. We have 6 on the board. And if they don't draw anything, they're dead. They did draw something, but interestingly, they're going for a 4/6 with Searing Barb. And I see no reason not to just protect it, because I think they were just trying to incubate 1 to get another chunk blocker there to survive. And I said no thank you. They are not getting any priority at all. We go ahead and back it up, swing in, tap it down, and get yet another victory from the jaws of defeat here. White aggro for the win, am I right? It's been going fine so far. Alright, opponent goes first. We have the easiest mulligan we could ever have here, so we have to keep 6 because I'm never going to 5. I throw back a combat trick, and we draw a 1-drop, so at least there's that, I guess. So here's our 1-mana 1/2. Draw an island. I just play my 2-mana 2/2 now because I got nothing else to play, so... Now we need a little bit of help from the top of our deck. And Invasion of Amonkhet is not going to help. We milled our Marshal. But I go ahead and dump the Cleansing here, hoping to top deck a land and hit Lancer, and then hold up Protection next turn, potentially. Even if we don't hit a land, but if they just play a random creature, we can bounce it, which they do. So do we hit a land? The answer is no, and now our entire board is stonewalled. But I do offer the trade, because I prefer them not flip this invasion here. Noting they could get Marshal or Negotiator. They do nothing. And I'm just like, alright, well if you're going to do nothing, I guess I just try to get rid of your creature here. They go ahead and kill our Lancer. But we get in for another 5. They're down to 7. Can we get over the hump? Wildwood Escort, getting back a Negotiator. There's a land, so I can Invasion and hit them down to 2. Or I can flip my Flyer. So this is a really, really tough decision here. I think I spend a little bit of time with this, because I'm trying to see how many creatures they can play on the backswing. I originally go for the creature here. And I'm not sure if it stays that way. It looks like it does. So I could have put them to 2 there. And maybe that would have been worth it. But it's really, really close. I can't remember exactly how this game ends up going, but we'll see if it ends up being worth it. If I can untap with the Vertex Paladin and protection for it, we're probably pretty golden. But we'll see if that ends up happening. Alright, they do just have the 3/3. And they pass it back, which is great news for us because we have protection. So if they think they're going to get us with the removal spell here, all we got to do is swing out, and whatever they try to kill, we just protect it. And it should probably kill them, I think. Yeah, they go for Vanquish. I give all my creatures hexproof. And that'll do it, because they just block the 2/2 and take 7. So, another quick win. Okay, opponent goes first this time, but I do think we have a keepable hand here. We have a 2-drop, and 1 more land gets us a Billy Rider here, so... And there we go. I go ahead and drop the island first, so we don't get priority. And they can't put us on Surge of Salvation here, so that's why I did what I did there. It's a small thing, but when you're going for Mythic, it could make a difference. Play Sanctifier, point out that they have a black and a white available. Could be Final Flourish. If it is, they chose not to use it. Ichor does stonewall us for a moment, so I just go ahead, get my creatures down, build up the board, and send it back. It potentially was Final Flourish, but they use it here, and a Grasp. So now we're down to no threats, which is never a spot you want to be in this deck. So we just play a Billy Rider and hold up Surge here, because don't really have anything else to do. They'll play a Familiar. We have to take it. That's a pretty good draw. So remember, Surge also prevents damage that black or red sources would deal to creatures you control this turn. So we could trade a Surge for the Etched Familiar right now, but I just want to go ahead and reset their Ichor Shade. First of all, just get that off the board here. Pass it back, and then see if we might need to use Surge on defense a little bit, but looks like I take a little bit of a risk here and go for it, and it did end up working out. Sometimes you got to take risks. I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing that all the time, but it did work out in that particular situation. So we traded a Surge of Salvation for an Etched Familiar there, which was pretty good for us, but they have Invasion of Tolvada to get it right back, so that's not great. So I play Aerialist, and then I do have the mana to convoke out Thunderhead Squadron here, so I just go ahead and build out the rest of my board. Tap out for one turn, but we'll see if it ends up mattering. It did end up mattering, unfortunately. It's okay, we have all the lands we need though. So we'll go ahead and flip the Aerialist here. See what we can find. We find an Intervention, another form of protection. So now we're free to attack with the Billy Rider. And we'll see if we can claw our way back into this game. There is another Ichor Shade, and that's all they've got. So, not looking too bad for us at the moment. We have all the protection we need. And I make a horrible mistake here in letting them flip Invasion, and I see it immediately. I'm thinking to myself, why did I do that? Like I'm just rage tilting on the other side right now. Hoping that can prevent damage to everything, but it doesn't. So now I do notice that I can remove the Realmbreaker's Grasp with Angelic Intervention, give it pro white, and then be off to the races, which is going to be quite the blowout here. So watch what they do here. They think they have a free attack to trade Etched Familiar for an Invasion of Tolvada. They don't take it, interestingly. And now we've got removal as well, so we are doing just fine. Passing it back, looking for more threats here. Now they think they're going to go for it. They didn't get any priority, so they are just about toast here. So we'll give that pro white. We'll make their Grasp fall off. We'll go ahead and reset their Dune Stomper here. Because make them pay more. We'll go ahead and keep the Marshal, because that's pretty good on this board. And then we can go ahead and block Invader on Familiar, Billy Rider on Shade, eat their entire board. It all works out in the end. When you think you're misplaying, sometimes you get a little bit lucky. Etched Familiar Drain, that's fine. Dune Shaper again, who cares? Aetherblade Agent, okay. Passing it back. We can play the Marshal. And now it's just a matter of how much can we attack? This right here is an attack for 10, so they kind of have to do something about that. Okay, they'll go ahead and just take the 10, go to 9. We still have double protection here. Again, these two cards in hand are the reason I was forcing this deck. And you'll see, I mean, we look like we were in a pretty darn losing position here. But the fact that we have all kinds of protection in hand means they just attack with the Mind Stinger. We can make sure that all black and red sources don't deal damage to creatures we control, which means we block with Marshal and Invader, cast Surge of Salvation, and eat their Mind Stinger. And even if they go for a removal spell, we have backup for that too. And that does it. That's why I'm forcing this deck, folks. That's why this is so powerful. See in game, whatever next one is. Alright, we go first here with his fine hand. I mean, Surge, Marshal, and then Bola Slinger. Again, playing Island so we don't get priority. It's the little things, but they matter. Go ahead and play Marshal, because it's all we've got. They're either mana screwed or mono green, so we'll get in, and again, we have double protection here. Alright, they did find their swamp. Let's see what their play is. Blighted Burgeoning. Okay. Alright, another island. So my thought is, do I play the Bola Slinger and tap out? Or do I just wait one turn? I think it's too bad to just not play your threats, even if you have to tap out from your protection, because they have a one-turn window here, and if they don't deal with this board right now, they're effectively dead. Because we have a removal spell and double backup, and can still tap down a creature. So, I mean, this game is basically over before they even realize it. If they can't remove it this turn, and unfortunately they can, which is pretty bad for us. But what can you do? Had they not done that, we probably would have just won on the spot. So they think they're going to animate the incubator and eat this. I'm fine to trade, I guess, intervention for their incubator token. I have another form of protection. We've only got one creature right now, so we have to try to let that carry us to victory. So I go ahead and eat their incubator token, and kind of pray the top of our deck kind of cooperates at this point. Again, took a little bit of a risk. Probably it was a win the game or a lose the game kind of risk there. And unfortunately they had the removal. But we'll see what we can do for the rest of this game here. Invasion of Zendikar. Okay. They got all the mana in the world. Okay, 2 forests. I mean, it's a creature, I guess. So, we take it. But they have access to 7 mana here, and they're still at 13. So, might have lost our chance here. Renata and Pelucranos. They needed 5 green mana to do that, and they had it. So, we do have 2 removal spells now. So, I'm going through all the scenarios in my mind as to how we win this game. And it's to be aggressive. That's like the only way we have a shot here. I think we have to Cleansing and Grasp these 2 creatures and hope that we deal 5 this turn and then like 5 next turn and then can tap something down with Marshal and then be able to get in there. because otherwise they're going to flip Pelucranos and we're 100% dead. So let's see what I decide and end up doing here. Trying to go for the win, just not playing it too conservatively, because again, if we let this sit, we're dead quick. So I cleansing the Renata because that one gives +1/+1 counters to things, so I don't want to grasp the Renata and have it just sit on the battlefield. They do keep it near the top, and then we just grasp Pelucranos and then deal 5 and cross our fingers here, I guess. See what they got now. Still 8 mana and 4 cards in hand, so our odds are not great, but I mean, it's the best chance we have. And then they just drop a freaking Gyruda, which our deck can't deal with. All they gotta do is go grab Renata anyway, and then we have 2 protection spells. They have a 7/3, a 6/6, and this is the disadvantage of this format. Not the disadvantage, the downside of the format is like, we're up 22-8 in life total, but this game's over. Like, there's nothing, there's nothing we can have here that's ever going to come back from this. Like, it looks like if someone just looked at this board saying, oh, you might have a chance here, then they play another Haster, we've got no shot in this game anymore. Not to mention they got rid of the Realmbreaker's Grasp, and I said, I am done here. Again, playing quickly, because that's what you got to do. So we're now 4-2. I'm pointing out the fact that I feel like we're going second a lot with this deck. I could be wrong on that, but who knows. Pretty easy keep. We got 2-drop, 3-drop, so we'll go ahead and just take this hand here. They play a Swamp, Traumatic Revelation, and get rid of our Marshal of Zhalfir, which makes this hand a lot worse now. So that's not great. Pretty unfortunate for us. We'll just play a 2-mana 2/2. They've got 4 colors of mana in their first 3 turns. Must be nice. We'll just do what our hand tells us to do. Drop a 3-drop here and pass it on back. Invasion of Zendikar, and now they have all of the mana, and they're still at 19. That makes this a little scary. They got double Mountain, and now I think I'm just getting a Tali next turn, or Chandred. That's my fear, in which case we're just like dead. So I'm trying to think, how do I win this game? And the answer is, put threats on the board and hope they don't deal with them. But I'm thinking about Core Halberd to not make the same mistake I made with Bola Slinger last game and play Quende and tap out. So that is what I do here. I just go ahead and play the Halberd, and this might not have been correct. I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of their creature that's going to be a problem for me. Looking back on this, I'm not sure I like that line there. If I just play Quende, that probably is better, but end of the day, we have to get rid of our hand anyway, so. Had I played Quende, I guess I would have had to discard the Halberd. I would have had 3 cards left, so this is a pretty good draw here at the very least. So we hit him for a bunch. They're down to 8. So maybe there's a chance after all. And then they kill a creature and incubate 3, which turns into incubate 4 because of the Ozolith, so that's not great. But we are still drawing cards here, so. And they have rapidly run out of cards in their hand. So my thought is, do I equip the Halberd, or do I hold up the activation of the Incubator token and Marshal of Zhalfir? And that's what I end up doing. They go ahead and transform. Makes sense. 2 cards in hand. What can they be? Can we get over this? Okay, Invasion of Rin. I don't care about that too much. Unless they find something good, then I care. We're very close here. We've got effectively 9, 10 power on board. But, okay, if that's all they're doing, I think I'm fine with that. Because I'll tap it before combat. They pass the turn, and did they make a mistake? I don't know, but we take those. 5 and 2 now. Alright, we love going second again. Opponent goes first once again, and I have to mulligan because I don't have any creature before turn 3. I put back the blue card, and, well, you know, I decide maybe we'll draw blue, put back the land, go second, play mulligan, draw another plains, and, you know, it seems like the only thing that can get in my way when I'm on a hot playing streak, which I think I'm playing pretty well in this game, in this draft, and recently, is, you know, hands like this. We've mulliganed twice. I think one of the mulligans we just straight up lost to a not drawing anything or drawing too many lands, and here it's looking to be a very similar scenario. They've got 3 colors of mana and find a swamp. I bluff an attack. They call the bluff. I play my creature. And now they've got 4 colors of mana, 4 mana, and they're still at 19. And our deck basically folds to that. Now they've got everything they've ever wanted. So we're a little late to the party here, but our mulligan slash new 6-card hand basically said, I don't want you to play this game. So we just get back here. I let them bounce off. Pass it back. And we're mana screwed. So it happens. But to this point, we're 5-2. And, I mean, had we had a pretty decent hand here, I feel like we had a shot. They've effectively done nothing this game. So if we had drawn a blue, played a Marshal of Zhalfir, and then they play Invasion of New Phyrexia for X = 5, and I say, you know what? How does draft number 2 sound? Because I am done here, folks. So 5-3 with this deck. Past Atali, Pack 2, Pick 1. Look, 5-3 is 2 ticks forward, closer to Mythic, and that's what we're here to do, right? So got down with 1 draft, and good news for you guys today. As you can see the rest of the time on this video, we've got 2. So we're going to go ahead and jump very quickly into a second draft here after we go ahead and open some of these packs. And I just go ahead and get the packs out of my way because I'm OCD about that. Perfect, a Mythic Wildcard. I've got 700 of those. Not 700, probably like 200 and something though. And we go right into draft 2. Same thing, we are hard forcing white. And unfortunately, the only white card in this entire pack is an Attentive Skywarden, which I hate. So I take an aggressive blue card here, point out that there's Cleansing, Spite, and Captive Weird. But I think this is still the correct pack 1, pick 1 anyway. And now we see Norn's Inquisitor, which is a great white card. Hoping to wheel Angelic Intervention, I point that out. But we're going to snap up Norn's Inquisitor here pretty quickly. Zhalfir and Lancer, Cavalier, and Intervention. You see me pointing out the Cavalier. That's a key card to our deck last draft that we didn't get. So I'm already regretting last draft a little bit, and I just take the Cavalier here because I think the 2-drops are more important. So again, we have the option to wheel another Intervention out of this pack. And I'm debating this, and you know what? I actually do take the 3-drop. I probably regret that pretty quickly. Now I speculate on a Sculpted Perfection because blue looks to be wildly cut, and there's not a lot of good white cards, and then we get a second one immediately, and I'm like, okay, so let's take 2. Let's see how this goes. really only card that could be playable in our archetype is going to be Sigiled Sentinel, so we grab that one here. We have an Invasion of New Capenna, and Aerial Boost is the first time you've seen this during this Mythic run here. So we're going to take our first copy of Aerial Boost. Look, here we go again. Pick 8, Surge of Salvation. I'll take all the Surge of Salvations I can get. You saw how good they were in that first draft. Go ahead and take Conviction. Doesn't really matter. All these cards suck. So we're really not getting anything here from like anyone. Even if we weren't hard forcing white, this draft would just be tough so far. So we're just striking out with effectively every single pick. Got a late Rayhav in case we need to go red-white. And everything else doesn't matter. So what can we find in pack 2? But an Ancient Imperiosaur. Now, I think about this one a lot. And this is a lot like the first draft. When we passed Atali pack 2 pick 1, I take Swordsworn Cavalier here. Again, we're forcing white aggro. We already have a Sentinel, a Lancer, an Inquisitor. I'm taking the Cavalier, and we get rewarded with another one. Obviously, if I wasn't doing what I'm doing here, I would have taken the Imperiosaur into Pelucranos, probably into Sandstalker Moloch, and we'd be an easy green-white here. But, like, look what's happening. Like, we have 2 really good white 2-drops and a white removal spell now, and, I mean, this is all fine. Like, we have a good deck. So I'm going to take my first blue removal spell. I don't know if I'm blue-white or black-white yet. Blue-white has seemed cut. So I speculate on cleansing. I would prefer to be blue-white if I could. Because we're not really leaning into the whole Phyrexians thing that the Sculpted Perfections provide for us. I look at Iara. I don't think this deck cares about Iara. I end up snatching a Meeting of the Minds or a Sunder the Gateway. I know I'm playing white, so I just snatch up my first Sunder the Gateway. And then we get a Sanctifier, which goes good in blue-white or black-white because it's a Phyrexian. We've got Cryptomancer versus Furia here. I take the Furia, but I don't see a world where we're playing Furia, even in black-white, only because we're trying to be so aggressive. That's what we're doing in this queue. We're queuing up aggressive here. So Repurposing is a great card, but it is 6 mana, and we are ideally not looking to get to 6. So I take the Revelation, and look, Surge of Salvation, pick 9 again. Don't mind if I do. I'll take the 2-drop Phyrexian here. Another Conviction, because who cares? We got the Scornblade Berserker back, which is pretty good, so we'll go ahead and take that. None of this is making the cut. I already have 2 Convictions. I took the Ricochet, doesn't matter, and a Burgeoning. Pack 3, we see a 3rd Sculpted Perfection. Now, there is a Preening Champion that I do point out. But with 2 already, I think a 3rd one is going to be pretty good and probably lock us into black-white. Now, here's the weird thing. Thalia is a great card. Don't get me wrong. But you're going to see me look at my non-creature count right now. And it is at 9. So it hoses our deck pretty darn hard. So I think I just need to take my first protection in Angelic Intervention here, as much as I want Thalia. So that's what I do. Oh look, a 3rd Surge of Salvation that is likely going to wheel. We'll take a 2nd Son of the Gateway because we are in Phyrexians. Anafenza is a close pick with Seal here. And I keep going back to Anafenza because we don't have a lot of removal right now. I'm looking at my creature count, and it's pretty low. And Anafenza is very powerful, so I do actually switch over to Anafenza here. Got Ichor Drinker, Sky Warden, Knight of the New Coalition. I go ahead and take this Ichor Drinker. It's important to have a couple 1-drops in these decks as well to make sure you get on the board early. As I look at my curve here, I do want to fill out that 1-drop slot. So I'll go ahead and slam the Ichor Drinker. Pick 6 comes around, and we are out of luck. There's a Billy Rider, but I don't really want to run it. At least not in black-white. There's a late invasion of Xerax, but that ship has sailed. Angelic Intervention, pick 8. Now you're seeing what I mentioned before these two drafts here. These cards go late. I look at Sunder, but then I see Etched Familiar, and I definitely want the Etched Familiar. There's the Core Halberd that I want in one of each of these decks. Basically, the Invasion isn't great in this deck, so I just take the Halberd, and looky, Surge of Salvation. What a surprise. Attentive Skywarden, another one, or a Knight. I do debate that for a little bit. Go ahead and take the Skywarden. And this deck does require a few more cuts than our previous deck did. Sorry about that. Got a little dark on us, but that's okay. I don't know if you can see my screensaver trying to kick in. So we're sorting by creature, trying to cut what we want to cut. We're not sold 100% on Phyrexians. We do cut the Furia because it doesn't really fit in this deck. We're kind of between Knights and Phyrexians here. I don't think 3 Surges is good. I go ahead and cut whatever that other 2-drop was. Oh, the Traumatic Revelation. We have 5 Knights, 7 Phyrexians. I'm just debating the last quick cut here, but you see that the non-creature spell of all these decks, these two so far here today in this Mythic push, 2 Angelic Interventions, 3 Surge of Salvations, a Core Halberd, an Aerial Boost, a Grasp. I mean, these are the cards that these bots just don't care about. And I get like 7 or 8 of them through both of these decks so far, which is crazy. Especially in these aggro decks. So I'm debating this last cut, and no matter where we end up on it, I mean, debating all these combat tricks down there. Got a pretty good deck. I mean, cut one of the Skywardens, 12 creatures, but a lot of Incubate, so I think that's probably where we land, and I'll see you in game number 1. Alright, we go first, and we keep this easily with a Cavalier on 2, again, playing our Swamp to not give away that we have Surge here. Now I debate between Cavalier and Sanctifier. And I do play Cavalier in the event that they don't have a 2-drop. We can hit in for 3. And they don't technically have a 2-drop. Alright, we're a bit choked on white mana here, but we're going to go ahead and get in for 3. Urn of Godfire, keep up the flip. So, again, choked on white mana, we can only cast 1 spell a turn. I really wanted to go ahead and kill their Incubator token, but then I realized it says non-token artifact. So, now I have to decide if I'm willing to trade Cavalier for their Incubator token here. I could also Intervention the Cavalier to keep it alive. So these are my options. Something I could also do is Sunder the Gateway on Gift of Completion, attack with Skywarden, and flip it. And I do think that's the route I take. Looks like it is. And I think I'm willing to trade Cavalier for their 3/3 at this point. Looks like I am. So, got a 2/2 flyer and a 2/2 on the ground now. Nezumi Freewheeler, 3/3 Menace, okay. And they milled Shieldred, so that's scary. If they have any sort of recursion here, so I have to try to end this game quickly. And again, we are still choked on white mana, drawing more white cards. I did mill 2 swamps, so that's good. They can flip and get their Order of the Mirror or our Knight. So I go ahead and just Realmbreaker's Grasp and say, no, I don't want that doing anything to me. So pointing out that I'm choked on white mana here. And the Unseal getting back Shieldred is what I was worried about. And it is what they're going to do. So we're going to have to figure out a way through this here. Rona. Okay. Again, still choked on white mana. Now, I'm going to take a really interesting line here, I think. Now, I could just attack with 2, or attack for 2, you know, play a Host Sanctifier. Actually, I think it might be the next turn I take this line. So let's see what we do here. I'll just commentate it as it happens, because I do vaguely remember this game now. I recorded this a day or two ago, and a lot has happened in my real life between now and then. So, debating a lot of options. We can only cast 1 spell this turn, which sucks. And if we're going to win this game, we need a board presence. So, looking at Shieldred, it makes me sack a non-token creature, so I can't get rid of my 2/2. So what I do is I play the Sanctifier, and I use the Sanctifier to convoke my 2/2 into the air to put them to 5. Because, again, I'm looking at the Shieldred, and I'm saying this game needs to end now. And I'm fully expecting them to cast Shieldred here. And if they do, I just sacrifice the Sanctifier, which is fine. I don't care about that. And then I'm banking on this Sky Warden winning me the game. I've got 3 protection spells in hand. I just gotta hope it can get there. If we can draw planes, we are golden. Because right now, their only way of... Yeah, so I have no idea why they did this. They should have done the Sky Warden for sure. But they didn't. Because now what's going to happen is if they don't have anything else, they have to use Urn of Godfire on the Sky Warden. I intervention, it gets a counter, and then they're dead. So... I have no idea why they got rid of the 2/2. I guess because I can't get the 2/2 back. But, I mean, all I got to do is intervention here. Well, I surge to give it protection. Or hexproof from everything. They do that. We have a flyer. We give it angelic intervention and protection. And it gets the counter. And we somehow steal this game here. Gotta be aggressive, and you know what? It worked out in this one. So, definitely mistake on their end, but end of the day, we take those mistakes. Pushing up Diamond 2. Okay, we do get to go first this time with 1, 2, 3. Easy keep. So we'll go ahead and do that. Still have protection with intervention here. And, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and drop my 2 mana 2/2 because need board presence in an aggro deck, right? We do note here that they now have Ifara's Dispersal because they were given priority when we attacked with 1 blue mana. So that's going to be interesting. And we're going to play the rest of this game knowing that knowledge here. So I go ahead and bluff this attack because why not? They're fine blocking, good for them, and we'll play Lancer here. Next turn we can play Sanctifier and hold up Intervention to protect against that Dispersal. Then they play a Preening Champion. That makes life tough. So I say that I could potentially use this Intervention here. Looking back, they probably should have blocked with the 1/1 and the 1/3, but they chose not to. Which, again, I'm fine with. Alright, they're going to try to race a little bit here, which we like, because we are also racing. Tapping in a way that leaves up Ifara's Dispersal, and a second Preening Champion. That makes life very hard for me. Alright, that gives our Lancer Vigilance. We'll get in with the Sanctifier as well. And again, they do have Dispersal here if they want to use it. So we can't use this combat trick before the Afara's Dispersal. So we have to just let this trade happen. We got to whittle down this board as much as we can. And they do go for the Dispersal. I say, I need board presence, so I'm not going to let you scry either. And we got it out of their hand and effectively countered it. So, again, playing pretty tight today, in my opinion. And then they play an Invasion of Zendikar and can immediately flip it, which is pretty horrible news for us. So, yeah, Preening Champion. Who knew? Good card. And I'm kind of looking at my hand and deck and being like, well, I can't really do anything else here. And now we're just going to get beat down by a bunch of 2/2s in the air. I take the 4 as well. No, I just chump the 4 because, I mean, at this point I'm not really seeing a way out. We need Realmbreaker's Grasp, like, now? Instead, we find a land. And, again, slow and painful deaths in March of the Machine. When you know you're dead, but you gotta wait it out. Cleansing, say goodbye to our token. I still think they have some sort of combat trick, but I have enough creatures here that I think I can effectively triple block their 4/4, even if they have some sort of removal. It's Cosmic Hunger, so they do get it's a 3 for 2. But we're not left with a whole lot here. Well, Sculpted Perfection is a card, but again, not cards that can deal with 2/2 flyers. Our first Sculpted Perfection of the draft with 3 in the deck, so... Keep taking 4. Pass it right on back, because can't do anything here. Oh look, a third Preening Champion. I thought about conceding, and then I drew a creature that doesn't deal with them, so then I do concede. Preening Champion, great card. Again, who knew? Okay, opponent goes first this time, but we have a capable hand with a 1/2/3, so we will keep it. And we'll cross our fingers that they don't have a 1-drop, but they have a 1-drop. So that blocks. Now I have an interesting spot now that I drew Anafenza. Do I play the 1-mana 1/2 and Scornblade Berserker? Or do I play the Plains in the event that I draw Plains next turn, then I play Anafenza? And I do play the Plains. I think that's the higher upside play here. So it's what I go for. We don't get so lucky. So we just go ahead and drop our 2-mana 2/2. No plays and passing it right back. Interesting. So I'll see if they have anything to do in the middle of combat here first. And then Etched Familiar is the thing I care least about dying, so I'm just going to go ahead and drop that. If we think it's Volcanic Spite, we have Scornblade Berserker to Furnace Rains. Interesting. They hit us and don't sacrifice it and pass it right back, which is weird. So, sure. We play Anafenza. We play Berserker. We go ahead and back up. The 3/3, or the 2/2, now 3/3. And our board is looking pretty good now. Got an extra card we can draw off the Berserker, Quende. 2 mana, 2/2 double strike. Okay. Well, looky there, Angelic Intervention. That can kill that pretty easily. We go ahead and bolster on the Inquisitor first here. And we need to be attacking, so we'll get in with everything. Again, at this point, I mean, this is the night before March of the Machine Quick Draft ends, and at this point, I think it's approaching midnight for me, and I am still stuck in Diamond 2, so I'm doing the best I can here. Again, here's part 1 of the series. You'll see part 2 on Friday. I will make you wait. So I do go ahead and buff up Anafenza, give it pro white, kill the Quende. Take 6, they go to 6, and we also have an Etched Familiar on the board, so they're effectively at 4. I am just praying no Sunfall here. One time no Sunfall. That is not a Sunfall, and that should spell victory for us. I do believe that is plenty enough damage for the backswing. I'm wondering if Sculpted Perfection is more damage as opposed to just animating our 2/2 here. And I do count up that Sculpted Perfection is 1 more damage. Actually, I think it was the same. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. We win the game. Congrats, we did it. So, again, white aggro, combat tricks, March of the Machine Quick Draft. Making our way up Diamond 2. Okay, and where are we now? We are 2 wins away from Diamond 1. Alright, we are on the draw this time, but we have Halberd into Cavalier. Playing our first Mythic rank player of the day. Cavalier into a second Cavalier is going to be a lot of damage. And another Plains is great, so I just go ahead and drop that. Maybe make them think that I'm mana screwed or something. I'm looking at these lands because they're so old I don't know actually what they are. Now they do have 1 of each and a stupid Preening Champion. Kind of tired of that card already. Rather than hold up Surge, I would rather go ahead and push through more damage here. So I go ahead and get in with my 4/2 First Strike, Vigilance. They'll chump because they realize what I'm doing. Leaving up an island, which tells me potentially Ifara's Dispersal. And it looks like it is because they got priority, so I'm pointing that out right now. But the good news is we have protection. So I keep pointing out that island, knowing that they have Afara's Dispersal here. So I just go ahead and get in with both. And when they block with the Surveyor, we can Intervention. They will Afara's Dispersal, and we can Salvation. So, I mean, it's a 2 for 2. We got rid of both of our combat tricks to do so, but now we have 2 4/2s on the board, which is pretty good. Granted, they have a 2/2 that they can trade with one of those 4/2s, but they do go ahead and kill one of them. And the other one. And now we are in that unenviable spot of having a opponent at 16 and no threats on the board. So we'll just play the Sculpted Perfection and see if we can claw our way back in this. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and animate my 3/3 and attack. And they have 6 mana and literal no plays, which is really weird. So I play my 4/3 here, and we have another Sculpted Perfection coming. Raph is not really going to be good enough here. And activate Raph, I am loving life now at this point, because all I got to do is drop a Sculpted Perfection here, move around my equipment, and they can't kill either of my creatures. So probably go ahead and put it on my 4/4 to give 2/5 powered attackers attack with everything. They go to 3 if they don't want to chump. And boy, has this game flipped around. Halo Forager, I instantly begin looking in graveyards. I see Collective Nightmare and Afara's Dispersal, and Collective Nightmare is probably going to be the pick here. Although Dispersal can get rid of the 5/5 for good, which is what they're going to go ahead and do. Makes sense. But little do they know that their entire board is blue, and I have Angelic Intervention to give me protection from blue. So, also I have no idea why they tapped like that, because all I have to do is animate my 2/2, and then I don't even need Angelic Intervention, so it's... I don't know why they did that. That was a very, very weird play. But again, doesn't really matter. They're just dead here. So, fine by me. They were dead anyway. Good news. And now we are 1 win away from Diamond 1. Let's see if we can get there. Alright, we go first, and we have 1 drop into 2 drop. Easy keep with Halberd into whatever we want here. So, got all the mana we need. I said we got all the mana we need, so next turn we can go Dreg Recycler, equip Sanctifier, and attack, so that's all pretty good. Important Tracker, Small Ball. I said we got all the mana we need. And now we're out of gas. So that was quick. Pointing out I have 3 lands in hand. This is going great. See what we can draw now. It's all up to the top of our deck. Overgrown Pest, and now I'm pointing out they can untap a land with Portent Tracker. Got a bit of protection here, which is not great right now. I mean, it's fine, but not outstanding. So we'll just go ahead and offer the trade of the Recycler for the Pest here. Because our Recycler's basically just a 2/2 in this deck. And pass it on back with no more threats on board. And no plays from them. Alright, now we have a Berserker. So that refills the hand a little bit and gives us a 4/4, assuming they don't have removal to kill this Sanctifier. And even if they do, we have Surge. Okay, they don't. Probably should have sacrificed the Berserker pre-combat in the event that I found something I wanted to cast. But I just do it now because it's an 0/1 and I just need more cards here. And now I'm wondering how important is the Surge? And I think it's more important to protect our only onboard asset than play a 3/2. So I just hold up Surge rather than playing this 3/2 here, which... Tough call. Alright, now they've got 6 mana, and what is it but an Invasion of Lorwyn? Boy, does it pay to hold up protection in these wide aggressive decks when all you have is one threat. Because they just paid 6 mana to do nothing. And now they're at 6, and we have an Etched Familiar on board. So, had we just played the Etched Familiar there, I think we lose this game. Now let's see if we can find our way back in. That unfortunately does stonewall our board. And here come more and more lands hovering over nice because it's nice for them. Alright, well they have effectively stabilized. Let's see what the top of our deck can provide for us here. Alright, 7 mana. I'm not liking this. Gargantua, they take themselves to 4 when I have an Etched Familiar on board, which is kind of strange, but I'll take it. An Informant? Haha. Little do you know, I wasn't using that anyway. Alright, what can we find? Hovering over nice, because... Here we are again. And I feel this one slipping out. You know, again, March of the Machine. 34 to 4. And I feel like this game is over in their favor. Like, I don't know how we get through with any more threats that are ever going to survive here, you know? Completed Huntmaster, Skittering Surveyor, and now we can't attack anymore. So we're going to need like a flyer or something. Yeah, that doesn't really do anything here. And I'm feeling pretty dejected at this point, because... But interestingly, they attacked with their 4/5, which lets us have an open attack with Etched Familiar here into their Gargantua. So, if this works, we can trade a 4/3 for their 4/4 and put them to 2, which is something. Okay, so it did work out. They go to 2, and again, 2 is not 0, so it's 36 to 2. And just wait to see how the rest of this game unfolds. Alright, they attack over there. I could double block here, but if they blow that out, then we have literal nothing. So I say, what does a 9/9 matter? Take your 9/9. I have to figure out another way around this here. Oh, Protection. Great, thanks. Alright, they're going to start getting completed Huntmaster value here. Now they have a 10-10. They smack me down to a lot of attacks here. I can't really afford to lose any of my creatures at this point. I play Surge of Salvation to protect my Cavalier. They play their second removal spell in hand, followed by their third removal spell in hand, and that is demoralizing. And we now take 17, go down to 19, and top deck none other than a land to end it. What a game. Thrilling game of Magic. One game away from Diamond 1. Alright, here we go. Got cut off a little bit there. One game away from Diamond 1. Couldn't get over the hump there, so now we are 2 games away again. But we'll keep this one with the Norn's Inquisitor and find a swamp off the top. Oh, how lucky we are this time. So, with some bad luck comes some good luck, I suppose. And now we have Skywarden next turn, or Lancer, depending on what we want to do here, and depending on what they do. They play a 2/2 lifelink. We also have Anafenza, and I'm wondering how much value I want out of that, but I think the Skywarden is going to be too much value if I just hit next turn and flip this into a 3/3. So that's what I'm going for here. And boy, do these traumatic revelations really hit us hard. They get some good creatures out of our hand here. They do attack. We have no reason to want to block here. Hello, Aerial Boost. So here's what I do this time. I go ahead and attack all after playing Lancer, because the Skywarden is going to flip our 2/2, and then the Lancer can be used as Convoke fodder for white to cast this Aerial Boost if we need it to. So I just hold up Aerial Boost in the event that I need to do that. If they have like Final Flourish or something. They have Ichor Shade. They're noticing that we get priority right now, which is the downside of having these Convoke spells. But it happens. I mean, same things happens for them with the Forest Dispersal here, so. Sometimes you use it to your advantage, sometimes you take advantage of your opponents. Collective Nightmare, Aerial Boost to the rescue. And what this also allows is next turn, I mean, we can attack for 9 now, which is kind of crazy, because they just used all their efforts to convoke at sorcery speed, which, again, was a bit of a mistake, but we'll take it. Alright, Furia. I do Furia. Another Perfection. Can't cast it. So I go ahead and get in here with the Lancer. Note that I'm willing to trade it for any one of their creatures at this point. But for some reason they decide to take it, which is, again, a really strange decision. Infected Defector. Okay. All right, we did draw the perfection. We now get a buff to a good amount of our creatures, and I don't do the math, but like, this has got to be good, right? I don't know. I mean, they do have 4 points of lifelink on the board, so I think looking back on this attack, I think I kind of regret it. I don't think there was any reason to attack with the Skyward in here. They get a free 2 points of life from that. So I don't know why I did that. Now I think they're just questioning which one to double block. So this would put them to 6. All right, this puts them down to 4. If they choose to do it this way. And they do. I just get rid of the lifelinker because they're so close to dead that I'm just trying to kill them here. Oh, it goes to, yeah, 4 because of the drain from the Etched Familiar. And I'm low-key hoping for a land off the top so I can Sculpted Perfection and equip the Halberd here, which would be pretty big for us. Let's see what we find. We do find the land. So our turn is, again, pretty clear. We're swinging out here. So I think I make a pretty big mistake here in equipping to the Skywarden because they have to chump the Skywarden no matter what. So me making it a 5/5 doesn't matter. I guess my thought was I wasn't going to be attacking with the other two. So maybe at the end of the day, it really didn't matter where I put it that turn. All right, they did draw out of it again with another flyer. And now our turn is done for us. We flip these into 5/5s. They're not getting any priority. And I go ahead and just swing with the Skywarden and the 5/5s. Actually, I put that over... Oh, that makes sense. Put that over there, and now everything's got attacks. So... look at past me being smart. Smarter than future me. Alright, chump, 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 and chump. And now, my mind is freaking out about Sunfall. Because these blocks tell me that Sunfall is coming. And I am terrified. And let's see. They didn't have it. Alright. You always got to worry about Sunfall in this format, don't you? Alright, opponent goes first. We have the Berserker on one with protection and Sculpted Perfections here, but no black. And I think this is probably a pretty clear mulligan. Unfortunately, I forget exactly what I do. But yeah, it's pretty clear mulligan there. Keeping 6, because I never keep 5, basically. And we are now 1 win away from Diamond 1 in this draft. Play Cavalier, pretty clear play. Questioning what they have for a black and a green with no creatures on board. But let's see. Whatever it is, they chose not to play it. And a blue now. Okay, well, our turn is made up for us. I put it over here, which I guess the reason I did that is to give it more than 1 toughness in case they play like Ichor Drinker or something. Didn't really matter where I put it because it was dying anyway. And now they play an 0-5, which my deck hates to see. Because that blocks effectively everything I play. So I keep Sun to the Gateway in hand in the event that they play some sort of enchantment. And boy, was I rewarded for that. Because not only did they play an enchantment, they missed a land drop to do it. So now I can instantly kill that enchantment. Because an extra 2/2 on the board previously wasn't doing really anything for me. So they cycle their Mauler, they go get another Swamp. And now they're getting out of their Mana Screw. We'll flip this because we got nothing better to do. And you know how it is here on Daily Draft in these lands. No attacks, and it is about to be turn 6, and they're at 20. And you've known from this video so far that if that's the case, we're probably not winning. Converter Beast. Alright, about to have another 5/5. More protection, but it's really not doing anything, and I'm not really feeling a way out of this game here. Good news, bad news about playing decks like this. You know when you're going to win, and you know when you're going to lose, and it's usually relatively pretty early on each game, so... Alright, no idea why they're not attacking with their 5/5 here, but I'll take it. Just what I needed, another Swamp. Pointing out that I played this game with 2 creatures, effectively. Now they get to flip that for another flyer if they want to. But again, not attacking with their 5/5, no idea why. Good card, but probably not going to let me survive this. Alright, they pass it back. We go ahead and flip it. I don't know what I'm playing towards here. I really don't see a way to get through this. These defenses starting to take 2. Anafenza, I mean, another good card, but just far too late here. Mutagen Connoisseur is not a great card, but boy, against us, does it do some absolute work. They play an 0/5, and I never dealt a single point of damage to them this entire game. So I'm kind of looking at my hand, I'm looking at their scenario. They've got 7 cards in hand right now. They currently have 5 points of flying damage. I'm taking 2 a turn. I still have no idea what they're doing. Not that it really matters. We could have been dead like 3 turns ago, but apparently they want to make us bleed. And I consider that a success because we have now dealt 2 damage to them. And more protection, and I say I am done here. Once again, 1 win away from Diamond Wand, and we drop down to 2 wins. Okay, well, totally forgot that we are now at 4-3, which ends the draft. So we did 2 quick drafts today. We went 5-3, 4-3, which put us up 3 ticks toward the way to Mythic. We are now 2 wins away from Diamond 1. And again, this is part 1 of the Travel to Mythic series. We are running out of time here. I've only got time for 1 or 2 more drafts before time runs out on me on the quick draft March of the Machine. But you know what? We got 3 ticks on the way there, on the way to Mythic today. Tune in on Friday to see if we can get a little bit lucky and get a few more. Hope you enjoy this kind of interesting, different content where we're forcing things on this channel. I usually never do that. but it's something I wanted to try out here in this, and so far it's worked. So again, thanks for tuning in. I know it's a longer video today. Tune in Friday for the conclusion of the series to see if we will make it to Mythic. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I will see you next time for your daily draft.